Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, we'll speak with Lori Kroll and Steve Perdios of the newly reformed group, the Friends of Faxon Park. They have a cleanup coming up tomorrow at the park. First, though, we'll check weather and news for you. Currently in Quincy, sun breaking through the clouds out there, 63 degrees. We begin a very warm, dry stretch of weather today with daytime highs up around 70 degrees, nighttime lows in the comfortable low to mid 50s. Looks like a gorgeous weekend coming up. Sunshine, just a few high thin clouds tomorrow. Could crack 70 degrees tomorrow. We're talking mid 60s with sunshine here on Sunday. The mild weather continues into Monday, probably Tuesday as well. In the news today, the 2-week daily new case average of coronavirus cases here in Quincy has now climbed to 9.0, with 10 new cases yesterday and now 86 active cases in the city. But Quincy does remain in the yellow category on the state's risk assessment map, and the death toll stands at 137. Just over 71% of Quincy voters cast ballots for Tuesday's presidential election, not quite setting a record. However, a very high turnout nonetheless. Quincy voters mirrored the state in supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for president and vice president, and Ed Markey for re-election to the U.S. Senate. Voters also put 8th District Congressman Stephen Lynch back into office. During our live election night coverage here at QATV, Lynch said that he was hopeful for an end to the gridlock in Washington, regardless of who wins the presidency.
I hope we get back to somewhat of a normal, I would call normal relationship between the House and the Senate and the presidency. This has been very disruptive at so many levels. To have a president who takes such liberties with the truth and with the Constitution. It's really troubling. I don't like to be partisan, but and look, I worked pretty closely with George W. Bush when I first got to Congress. We disagreed on a fair number of things, but it was always a give and take of ideas, and I honestly felt that he had in his heart the best interest of the American people. And I don't necessarily, I'm not convinced of that right now. I think the president has this president has a much different view of democracy and of our place in the world.
Now, locally, Senator John Keenan and Representative Ron Mariano of Quincy both defeated their challengers. There were no other contested races in Quincy. Patrick McDermott of Quincy did win his race for Norfolk County Sheriff. Joe Shea was re-elected County Commissioner, along with Richard Stady of Stoughton. A Quincy woman died in a 2-alarm fire in her home early Tuesday morning. Firefighters found 64-year-old Marie Gardner in the kitchen of 98 Edwin Street in North Quincy when they responded at about 5:30 Tuesday morning. The home was fully engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived. Gardner's daughter escaped safely, and there were no other injuries reported. Officials say it appears the fire started in the kitchen. However, the home sustained at least $150,000 in damage. Residents in surrounding homes were evacuated as a precaution, and the state fire marshal was assisting with the exact cause of the blaze investigation. Gardner had reportedly just recovered from COVID-19. Well, there's a new urgent care clinic in Quincy Center. Beth Israel Lahey Health recently opened the new urgent and primary care center on the Haddon Parkway at the former site of the Quincy Career Center. The new center will be staffed by 2 emergency room doctors from Beth Israel Deaconess Milton Hospital and will be open 7 days a week. The services will include orthopedics, pediatrics, geriatrics, lab testing, x-rays, and other urgent but non-life-threatening health issues. Appointments can be made, however, walk-ins are also welcome. The new clinic opened just days before the emergency room at the former Quincy Medical Center closed on November 1st. Well, 20 electronic speed feedback signs are being posted along some of Quincy's busiest roadways in an effort to slow motorists down. The city's installing the signs along roadways that have been identified as having high traffic volume and excessive speeding. 75 roadways were considered in a study. Officials say those signs have been proven to reduce speeds by an average of 10 to 20% and increase speed limit compliance by at least 30%. Funds paid by developers to the city were used to purchase 10 of those signs. The city funds paid for the rest. The new signs will be installed by the end of the year. Coming up, Lori Kroll and Steve Perdios of the Friends of Faxon Park chat about that group and a park cleanup tomorrow. That's next.
I believe that anybody can turn their life around. They just gotta wanna, and they gotta have some belief.
Remember.
Honor. Teach.
Join us on Saturday, December 19th for National Wreaths Across America Day. To find a location in your community, go to wreathsacrossamerica.org.
So really pleased to welcome to the program Lori Kroll and Steve Perdios. The Friends of Faxon Park are getting together to have a Faxon Park cleanup, but also to get the group back together again. So Lori and Steve, welcome to you both. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. This is great. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. When I saw the little blurb in the Quincy Sun that the Friends are getting back together, and I said, gee, I didn't know that, first of all, they'd broken up and how long that had been and what that means. So why don't we talk a little bit first about the coming back together of the group. Who would like to chat on that first?
I can jump in, I guess. I think this has been sort of a grassroots coming together. So, just sort of in circles of bumping into people, whether at the park or socially. There's been conversation about the state of the park today, the history behind the park, and then just goals as to what the park could look like going forward. And these have been kind of just loose conversations with, everything from neighbors in the up where I live in the neighborhood, as well as, seeing people around and just talking about the park because we love spending time there, especially in these times, the pandemic. And as a result of the conversations, actually the Councillor Kroll connected a few people that he knew were aware of issues with the park today, as well as the park department and the QPD. And we kind of loosely got together to really look at the park today and some of the more of the pain points, so to speak, as a group. And then as a result of that conversation, that really sort of fed our desire to kind of take that off of the counselor's plate and reinstitute or bring back together what was the Friends of Faxon Park, to have us as a group get together, get some residents, people that use the park together to talk about the state of the park today and where it can be in the future.
So had the Friends group kind of disbanded previously and just recently come back together, or did it just kind of take a little hiatus and now is getting more active again?
Well, I can jump in. I've lived within about a mile of Faxon Park pretty much my entire life. And, growing up, I don't recall there ever being an actual cohesive group called like Friends of Faxon Park. I don't think there was ever a cohesive unit of people organized, focused on the park. I think it was mostly under the park department and maybe some neighbors with some input. It's very loosey-goosey. And then in the early 2000s, previous city councilor Dan Raimondi had organized a group of people, and they got together for a couple of years, and there were a lot of meetings, and it was really kind of a top-down approach to it, where the city council was really hands-on, and the city was provided some funding, and they put together sort of a plan. A report was done, and the report hasn't always really been followed. It was very well put together in the sense that it had a wide swath of people from the neighborhood that were really interested in the park. They were all brought together for a whole variety of meetings to kind of develop this plan. But I think that the key word I think Laurie mentioned is sort of grassroots, and I think that that's really where any type of neighborhood organization really gets its strength, is from there being a constituency that are, just citizens, people that live near it, that think about it all the time, as opposed to a city department that has multiple parks across the city. When you look at the parks across the city, there isn't another park in the city that really can compare to Faxon Park. In my humble opinion, I think it's the nicest park in the city of Quincy. And because of that, you see a lot of, every time something comes up in the city, like we saw it in the 90s, it was, well, where are we going to put the high school? It was, well, let's put it up there. And for a long time, it was, well, where are we going to put a dog park? Well, let's put it up there. And there was all kinds of ideas of things. And even to get rid of trash, where are we going to put all this trash? A lot of times throughout the city, people think, oh, well, Faxon Park, well, we'll just stick it up there because it's this big area. But what was always missing is that there's a lot of people that really love this park. There's a lot of people in the neighborhood, people that come from far away to come visit this park. It's really a beautiful park space. And so when Laurie really kind of kicked the can here and said, hey, let's get some people together to talk about it, it was really a natural fit to bring people together to really kind of put together a more cohesive unit of people who really can kind of keep an eye on the park and keep it at the forefront of people's minds at the city level. So we're thrilled to be able to get back together, and I'm really grateful for Laurie for putting this together.
Yeah, about how many of you are there right now, would you say?
Well, we started with, I think there was maybe 4 or 5 of us that walked the park with the Parks Department and the Quincy Police, which was amazing. We're very grateful for them taking the time to do that with us, to kind of examine the state of the park today. But then we held our first informal meeting on the 24th, and we had probably, what would you say, Steve, like at least 10 people, I would say?
Yeah. It was not a really particularly warm day. It was not a beautiful sunny day, and we were able to get people out of their house and socially distant meeting up at the park, and I thought it was a great turnout.
And we're hoping to grow more. So our intention is, just to kind of give you an idea of what we've discussed so far, at that meeting, we talked about, again, the state of the park today, sort of the channels of communication to escalate if there is any safety issues going on at the park, to, how to funnel those through the QPD so they can be addressed. And then we talked about, sort of cleanups. And that was one goal that we had loosely discussed, is trying to implement a quarterly cleanup with residents, but anyone that uses the park that wants to jump in and help. Actually, our first cleanup is going to be this Saturday, which is November 7th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're meeting at the Pavilion, but that will be the first of hopefully many quarterly cleanups to come. And we also talked about future planning. So we would like to meet, or we are going to be meeting on a monthly basis, the first Thursday of the month. So anyone that is interested in being a part of our discussions, we are open to, you don't have to live in the neighborhood. You don't have to go to the park regularly. I mean, obviously, if you have a vested interest and love the park, we want to hear from you, but we really want to have many voices sharing their thoughts and ideas of ways to improve the park. And you're welcome to join us the first Thursday of the month. So our next meeting will be Thursday, December 3rd via Zoom. I don't have a time yet, but we have an email address, it's friendsoffaxon@gmail.com, that people can email if they're interested in being part of the discussions. And we're really excited. We're really excited about, helping the park go from their, once annual cleaner, greener cleanup to more regular cleanups, to really, hopefully, expanding the trails and getting more people involved to just find out what the community wants from this park and how we can make it happen.
I guess we should, maybe Steve, you can answer this, is we should let folks know, where Faxon Park is. There are new people coming to the city all the time and might not be familiar with the large expanse of the actual park itself.
Yes, it's located right next to the greatest neighborhood in the world, which is Quincy Point. It's just adjacent to that, right next door. A little southwest of the southern part of the city, Faxon Park. You come down Quincy Ave from Quincy Center. You come down Quincy Ave and you get to the, there's a little ski and sports shop there. You take a right up onto Faxon Park Lane, and it's on your left as you're heading up the hill. It's just a beautiful park space. If I can just take a minute to kind of expound on that. It's a beautiful park space. It's over 70 acres of land. It's got a couple of ball fields. It's got a basketball court. It's got spaces to some grass spaces. It's got forest areas. It's got a lot of upland. It's got a couple of wetlands. It's got quite a bit of history to it. There are, the signature of the park really is the stone wall that wraps around the interior of the park. It's this beautiful stone wall, and we see these stone walls are kind of replicated throughout the city. You can find them in other parts of the city. It is kind of the signature of the park. And they were built under in the 1940s under the WPA program to get people back to work. And in addition to the beautiful stone wall wrapping around the park, there are these hidden benches that just you'll find a couple of dozen of them just spattered across the park in all different areas. And they're great little spots to sit and rest and do some artwork or read or whatever you need to do in there. And it's just it adds so much to the park. And then, the city has actually invested quite a lot of money into the park in the early 2000s with the advent of the Community Preservation Act. The city purchased 13 acres of land that abuts the park and heads down towards like the Falls Boulevard area. And the city, actually in the 90s, the city purchased, I mentioned the old Quincy High site, the city had purchased a bunch of a few, I forget what the number was, 7, 8, 10 acres of land up there. And there was the big political battle over whether it was hazardous waste or not. It's been cleaned up. It's now part of the park. And so we have these other 13 acres that were purchased. And then shortly after that, there were another 3 acres purchased. So the park is now at over 70 acres in size. And the park, another very unique element of this park is that it backs up to the Braintree line. So there's one piece of there's one piece of private property that is undeveloped, partially undeveloped, that connects Braintree, that has 100+ acres protected on their side, to Quincy's 70+ acres on our side that are protected. So part of the future plans that we'd be advocating for would be to get that one parcel that straddles the property line, the town boundary, get that preserved and open that up so that we can expand hiking trails and walking trails all the way through into Braintree. And, I mentioned the history of this. So, if you read the John Adams book, he talks about Penn's Hill and how much he loved Penn's Hill. And this is really right at the top of this is the highest point. When you go up to Penn's Hill, there's some lookouts up there that are absolutely stunning. And it really makes the park extremely unique. And I'll go on for another half an hour if you want to.
No, I do remember it's
a great place.
Yeah, I do remember the master plan for Faxon Park that was put together that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Part of that is the new playground that folks use all the time. I don't think a day goes by, no matter what the weather, that I don't see somebody utilizing that facility. That's so obvious. But are there other parts of that master plan that are still pending?
Yes, there are.
They only did part of the loop trail, right, Steve? There was a larger loop trail that was designed, and only a portion of that was I mean, we're grateful that a portion of it was able to be developed, and we have the Red Diamond Trail up there now, which has some, loose wood chips and is marked pretty well. But I think there was a greater trail design on that master plan that has not yet been implemented.
One of the things Laurie's pointing out here that is really sort of missing from the park is when you go up there, there's a ton of trails. The trails exist. But what they are is just sort of created from footpaths, just this where people naturally kind of walk. And there's no demarcation other than the Red Diamond Trail. There's no real markers. There's no map. There's no kiosk telling people here's where the trails are. And there's really nothing that extends people into the 20 plus acres that the city's purchased in the last 20 years. There's nothing that really encourages people to use the entirety of the park. So for just hiking and walking, there's a lot of opportunity for growth that we're hoping will take hold in the next few years. And you mentioned the plan. We're hoping that there are more green spaces actually created. There's a large area that was the old Quincy High site that is still just a big dirt pile. So we really want to see that whole 10 acres or so get worked into a passive recreation site where people can kind of walk, and kind of appreciate nature there. We've got a lot of athletic fields in the city. We have athletic fields right at Faxon Park. We're hoping that we're not going to get more of those. We'd really like to see us push the passive recreation elements, running, hiking, biking, things like that. But there's a lot of room for improvement. So we're hoping that we can engage some people and elevate this park, the issues around the park.
Yeah, of course, the city has a relatively new, Department of Natural Resources now, with a new director of that department who is, I'm assuming, a friend of the parks system, including Faxon Park. So are you kind of hoping that will, take a funding priority in the future?
Yeah, and there is actually some money that has been that was approved and is sort of an escrow, so to speak, right now to be used for purposes of the park. So we're grateful to the mayor for making that happen. So I think additional funding is, of course, welcome.
Of course, yeah. Is there lighting at all in Faxon Park? Do you have nighttime activities anywhere in the park?
Yeah. Are there lights at the ball fields? I think there are. There's lights at the ball field. Yeah, there are lights at the ball field. Yeah. But obviously, it's a city park. Other than the lighted area, it's only open dawn to dusk. So
I see. Yeah, it's just that during this pandemic, we've learned how important, how vital being outdoors is, and having some natural recreation and some passive open space just to kind of breathe. So a city as dense as Quincy, I'm sure it's a great asset to have that resource available. It was a gift, was it not, from the Faxon family years ago?
That's right. Yep. You got it. Yeah. And it really came in stages. The whole park developed in stages. I think, there's the heart of the park, I think was actually, I think that might've been second. There's a couple of parcels actually right on, I'm blanking the name of that road, the Faxon Park Road, I guess, as it comes up. There's a couple of parcels right out there, and then more grew over time, and it really evolved since, I want to say, like the 1920s. It evolved over a long period of time, and even to the recent purchases in the 2000s. So,
sure. So, how does one become a friend of Faxon Park? What's the process?
It's a long, arduous application process. Oh, it's really difficult. You have to
be able to type an email.
You have to show up and type an email and get on Zoom or
okay.
Yeah, brutal. Hundreds of dollars applications, right?
Is there a dues or a subscription or anything of that nature? No.
We're just getting started, Joe. We really are. We sort of formed, thanks to Laurie again, maybe 6 weeks ago, 6 or 8 weeks ago, is it's a group of there's two other people that are involved with us. I'll let Laurie introduce you to them, but the four of us have kind of just sort of spearheaded the effort of trying to organize people and get the group kind of back together. I guess in the future, I foresee us hopefully becoming a more cohesive unit. Laurie mentioned that we're going to have monthly meetings starting December. Because of the weather, we expect that December, January, February will be on Zoom or some type of social media platform. But once the weather breaks, once the spring comes, we're really eager to get back outside and meet in person, social distanced away, and in person at the park, and run events there, and have some community events that should be a lot of fun. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Steve mentioned the other members of the group. So Dina Harkin, who is the president of the Penns Hill Neighborhood Association, she's also been involved, as well as Serenity Bello, who was also involved back when they were doing the discussions about the master plan, et cetera. So they've been involved as well. And our intention, I think that we always like the park. We want to keep the Friends of Faxon Park to be something that's financially accessible to everyone. So I don't foresee us ever requiring dues to be a part of the conversation. We want all voices and plenty of people to be involved and help think of some good ideas as to what to do with the park. And yeah.
Is the goal maybe, Lori, in the future to become like a 501c3?
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. We did talk about that a little bit at our last meeting. That opens us up to be able to obviously accept like financial donations and do some things that we can't really do currently. So that's, from what I understand, is somewhat of a complicated process, but we're talking about it. So
okay, yeah. You mentioned the Penns Hill Neighborhood Association. Obviously, it's part of Faxon Park, right? Penns Hill. So those groups, I guess, are a natural fit.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Friends group, are there dual memberships, do you know?
Yeah, there's definitely overlap, I think, between, Ward 2 Civic and Penns Hill Neighborhood Association and Friends of Faxon Park. But there's people that don't live in Penns Hill that use the park and like using it, people from Braintree and other neighborhoods. So you don't have to be a member of one to be a member of the Friends of Faxon.
Right, yeah, exactly. So again, the cleanup, if you could tell us again about that this coming Saturday.
Yeah, so this coming Saturday, we're thankful to the Parks Department, the mayor, for the support. They're going to be providing the supplies for us. So the supplies will be coming to the pavilion, which, if you don't know where that is, as Steve said, when you come up the road by that Sun and Ski little shop off Quincy Ave, you come up that hill, or if you can come up by Gennaro's also, but basically you go up that hill there, you'll see the park. You go in the park entrance, you keep following that road all the way up to the top. There's a small pavilion. That's where the supplies will be dropped. So we'll have, trash bags, gloves, etc. We ask that you wear your mask, please, and stay socially distant while we're outside. We'll be doing a cleanup between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Saturday. That's Saturday, November 7th. And you don't have to be there at 10 a.m. You don't have to stay till 1 p.m. We appreciate any and all help that we can get. We'll be starting at the pavilion and sort of working our way backwards down the road towards the playground and tackling that area to the right of the road if you're going back down to the playground. So we'll be there, and we look forward to seeing you and hope to meet some new friends. If you are interested in being part of the conversation and joining Friends of Faxon, the email address is friendsoffaxonpark@gmail.com.
Okay, and again, the meeting schedule, Lori, if you could.
First Thursday of the month. The time is TBD, but we'll be doing it via Zoom. If you are interested in participating, send an email and we'll get you the link.
Okay, great. Anything else you'd like to share with folks right now?
Just, really grateful to Laurie and Serenity Bello and Dana for really helping to put all this together. And things really have to be a grassroots. So we'd love to have people come out, give us a hand cleaning up, and add your voice to the mix to keep Faxon Park a great space. Okay, great. Anything else, Lori?
No. Excited to see what the future holds for the park. I love it.
Yeah. Please, I really appreciate this opportunity, Joe. This is great to be able to.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having us.
We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. I consider myself a quasi-friend of Faxon Park, I guess. But I wanted to let folks know about the group and about the efforts. And please let us know how it goes, if you would, and to keep us up to date on your future meetings, because we'd like to let the community know what's going on as well.
Absolutely.
We'll send you some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
All right.
Thanks again. Good to talk to both of you.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Recapping the forecast for you for the rest of the day today, lots of sunshine, mild temperatures up around 70 degrees. And really, you can take that forecast and copy and paste right through at least next Tuesday. Daytime highs and the upper 60s, low 70s, nighttime lows in the comfortable 50s. Maybe a little chillier here on Sunday night, and it stays dry through at least Tuesday. Thanks again to Lori Kroll and Steve Perdios for joining us today. Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. On Monday on the program, we'll chat with Quincy Veteran Services Director George Nicholson about this year's Veterans Day ceremony. And a reminder, please do participate in the Quincy COVID Memories Project. QATV, the Thomas Crane Library, Quincy 400, and the city have all teamed up to collect life experiences here in Quincy during the pandemic. Go to quincyculturalmemory.com or send your submissions to the Thomas Crane Library, attention local history, at 40 Washington Street, Quincy 02169. And visit our website, qatv.org. You'll find up-to-date news and information, all of our latest programs, fall and classic sports, video on demand, live streaming, much more. For all of us here at Quincy Access Television, I'm Joe Catalano. Please stay safe.